Okay, buddy. What the hell? Hello, are you guys there? I am. Okay, there's been some changes since I was last here, so I'm not sure what's going on. Hang on. Okay, we have video. Can you hear me? Sorry, been some changes to Fireside since I was last here, so I'm not sure if I'm on. Am I on, people? All right, well, thank you. Thanks for joining me in another Fireside chat. This is Alonzo Bodden welcoming you to the SoapBox. So, listen, there is a lot going on right now that I could talk about and complain about and rant about and everything else. But there is one overriding issue that I'm going to get into, and I will try to contain myself. There was no show last week. I was actually in Portugal. It was phenomenal. Triumph Motorcycles invited me to Portugal to test ride some new bikes. I can tell you that Portugal is beautiful. There were some beautiful roads. We got to have a good time. Two things happened. One, I tweeted, I said, in Portugal, people are wearing masks. Gas is $8 a gallon, and there's not one angry truck driver. It became the most popular tweet I've ever put up. There's over 100,000 likes on it. I was like, wow, I guess it is a lot of people tired of dumb, angry truck drivers. So that was good. It was a great experience. Now, the rant, the flight back, they flew me on Iberia, and they bought this ticket that was one of those that you can't even choose a seat. Now, I don't know who to be mad at. Should I be mad at Triumph, who gave me an excellent trip and experience with motorcycles, but bought the cheapest airline ticket they could? But I'm more upset with airlines in their constant nickel and diming and ripping us off every chance they get to actually sell a ticket where choosing a seat in advance is considered a luxury. Listen, it's one thing if you're flying Southwest or in Canada, WestJet, or if you're flying Spirit. Well, if you're flying Spirit, you should have drove. But those airlines, going in that, you can't pick a seat in advance and you got to line up and grab a seat and all, that's fine. But when it's a normal full service airline, they shouldn't even sell a ticket that you can't pick a seat. What the hell is that? It is just another way to nickel and dime us and take advantage of the customers because they know you have no choice. So that is a mixed rant right there. Excellent trip, lousy flight. Okay, let me just get into it. The disrespect being shown to Ketanji Brown Jackson in the Senate confirmation hearings. I don't know about you. I can't watch it. I honestly can't. I will watch or listen for 10 minutes. These idiot right-wing senators trying to tap into the ignorance and racism of their base because they can't be this dumb. They're obviously they haven't studied or anything else, but these attempts to somehow paint her as soft on child molesters. Are you fucking kidding me? Why? Because she asked what would be an intelligent question. She was asked an intelligent question. Is somebody who looks at child pornography a pedophile? And like anything else in court, there's layers to any question, and that would be something that would be answered by an expert in psychology or psychiatry or whatever. And then this some one of the and I don't even give these idiots courtesy of naming them. They're such idiots. But the one from Tennessee said, "Don't you have an undercover plan to teach critical race theory?" Okay, how does a Supreme Court justice teach anything? What the hell? To start with that, and then these trigger words, right? Then now she gets to say, "Ooh, I was anti-critical race theory," and appeal to her stupid ass racist base. Ted Cruz, and the world class asshole, world class, the nerve to say that when Biden chose her, it wasn't fair to white males because they weren't nominated. Really, Ted? How many white males were nominated and put on the court where they didn't even consider a black person, much less a black woman? Okay, that was fine with you. Fuck off. The ignorance of these comments and questions, and the fact that she sits there with poise, grace, and an intelligence. She is more qualified than the last two idiots they put on the court. She has served on the bench longer. She has been a prosecutor. She was a Supreme Court justice clerk. Her history, her experience, impeccable. Can you imagine if she sat up there crying, screaming, "I like beer"? You know what? Guess what? Black people don't get to fucking do that, okay? Judge Kavanaugh is incompetent, an old fucking frat boy drunk. Black people don't get to be that bad. Forget just and then she's a woman. So we got to add two groups that are going to be discriminated against. And does she get the benefit of the doubt that Amy, the handmaiden, got? No. Someone who, again, no experience. You and I have been in court more than her if we fought a traffic ticket. Are you fucking kidding me? And she's sitting on the Supreme Court with no question and just rammed right through. And they have the nerve to disrespect and question this woman. Lindsey Graham asked her to rate her faith on a scale of 1 to 10. You cannot ask that at a regular job interview. Are you fucking kidding? Lindsay, how much faith do you have when your nose is up Trump's ass, okay? How much faith are you showing? How dare they bring religion into this? Guess what? This is the United States of America. We are a nation of laws. These are the same people who talk about their fear of Sharia law, and they hate Sharia law, and they hate the Taliban, and yet you're going to ask a Supreme Court justice about her faith? Are you fucking kidding me? Sorry, people, but this is hitting me too hard. I haven't done my podcast. I can't. This is the first time I'm talking out loud about this because I'm so upset with the disrespect and the ignorance. And this is our country. This is our nation. Okay. How dare they? And she's not allowed to fight back. That's the worst part. I don't know if you saw the movie 42 about Jackie Robinson. But there was a great scene in the movie when they were playing the Philadelphia Phillies, and the manager of the Phillies was calling Jackie Robinson a nigger and a monkey and a this and a that and the other. And another player, a white player, I think it was Pee Wee Reese, stood up and yelled at that manager and told him, "Yeah, it's easy for you to yell at somebody who cares. You know Jackie can't fight back, right? Jackie couldn't go punch this guy in the mouth." This is the same way with Ketanji Brown Jackson. She can't respond to these people the way they should be responded to, because she would then instantly be labeled the angry black woman. Every black woman knows about that. It's a label that they carry unfairly. It's one thing to carry it comedically. Listen, I've done jokes. I do a joke about that if Biden resigned and Kamala Harris took over, how she would call Putin and just say, "Don't let me have to come over there," and end the whole thing. And it's a fucking joke. And it's actually kind of a cheap joke, but it gets a laugh. See, you laughed. I'll take that laugh. But this angry black woman stereotype is something that black women have to live with, have to deal with at all times. And this woman cannot respond to these fucking idiots in the manner she should, and tell them, "Children, you are not even qualified to ask me a question. How dare you?" Okay, I think I'm done. Chris, I appreciate the yep. I'll take that. Thank you. Again, it seems some things have changed in Fireside, so bear with me as I do my best here. But as with, with the apps change, apps update. Okay. Again, I think I'm done. But when they talk about be better, be best, and all that bullshit, do better. This is the United States of America. You racist white Southern fucks, do better. Okay. This woman is absolutely qualified to be on the Supreme Court. You've already confirmed her twice. How dare you try to appeal to the lowest common denominator in our society by asking these insulting, stupid, racist based questions? They're not about race, but the reason they're racist based is because that's the only reason they can think to try to keep her off the court, because she is a black woman. Fuck you. Done. Welcome. Thank you. I am off the soapbox. It is your show. You guys know that. Jump in, rant, rave, do whatever you want. I am here. I'm listening, and I appreciate you dropping in. Chris, you are in. I will invite you to video. It is up to you whether or not you use it.
Hi. Well, you got me started. You got me going. You're right. It's so nice to meet you, Alonzo. Thanks for having me up.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry I missed part of this. I'm going to go back and listen to it and get riled up again. But I heard enough. I've heard enough. You're 100% right. You really are. I mean, they're trapping her. They're doing everything they can. The angry black woman is such a cliche, and white middle America knows that. And they want to. They're poking her. They're poking her. And it's cruel and unfair. And we've gotten to this place that's just so ugly and vile and deep, and it keeps going and going and going. And I wish it would stop. But here is the one message that I wanted to give to your audience, and then I will get off the soapbox. I was a radio DJ, and just when I learned from a program director, just when you are sick and tired of the song, just when you are ready to jump out the window, just when you are ready to just like pull that mic out of the board and scream and go running, that is when the average person is hearing that song for the very first time, right? So my point is that keep talking about this. Just keep talking. I know there's fatigue in all the inequality and the unjustness in our world, but we got to keep talking about it, because every time, just when you think that that everyone's heard it, there's always some teenager, some kid for the very first time getting that light bulb going off over their head. And that's why we got to keep talking about this, as sickening as it is. So that's it. That's all I got.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you for jumping on the soapbox. And part of me agrees with you and thinks you're right, but the other part of me is tired of this because of the feigned ignorance. See, I understand what you're saying about the teenage kid who hasn't heard this, hasn't been exposed. On one of my military trips, one of my military shows, we were in Iraq. And there was this kid, red-haired kid, who goes by the name Red because they're very original with nicknames in the Army. But Red was telling us a story. He grew up in the hills in North Carolina. I mean, deep in the hills. And he said, I was raised to be a racist. I'd never even met a black person until I joined the Army. I love black people. I hang out with them. They taught me to cook and everything else, but he had never been exposed. I understand that, and I know that is a part of the population that exists, and so on. You may be raised to believe these things, and you need life experience. I get that. But the reason I'm so angry is because every one of these senators knows exactly what they're doing. They know this woman is supremely qualified. And I'll take it a step farther. One of the things white people hate the most, and I'm not talking about all white people, I'm talking about the racist population. One of the things they hate most is a black person smarter than them. That's why they hated Barack Obama, because he was smarter than every member of the Senate. He was smarter than them. That is why they hate this woman. They know Ketanji Brown Jackson knows more about the law, has had more experience, and is smarter than any one of them. And they truly hate that. And another thing they hate, and again, I'm talking about the racist population, the American dream. And I put her again with Barack Obama. They are the embodiment of the American dream. They worked hard, they're self-made, and they made it to the top. And these white people, Ted Cruz and his boys, hate that because they only want that for white people. They never intended it to apply to black people, Latino people, women, any other group. They meant my white son can be anybody. We didn't mean you could be anybody. How dare you out-achieve all of us with every barrier we put in front of you? So those are the ones that I'm talking about, Chris. And that's why it gets tired, because you're not going to change their minds, because they know exactly what they're doing. They're manipulating, just like Trump, his biggest followers, uneducated white people, right? They're manipulating the easiest group to manipulate. And it is tiring, but we will continue to attempt the fight. So thank you, Chris. Thanks for dropping in.
You know, it's like, well, you made me just think of something. It's almost like a football game, isn't it? And you've got your teams and you're up against your rival, and it's gotten down to the point where it's just hate. We don't know why we hate them, but we hate them. And it's kind of like teaching that of again and again and again. And I hope we can break it down in my lifetime. I'm starting to lose a little hope myself. But so long as there's enough of us in the middle to kind of like push back a little bit, I think we can still stay here. I think she's on her way. I do.
Oh, she's going to get it. She's going to, because they don't have any real reason to stop her. So she's going to make it onto the court. But thank you, Chris. Thanks for dropping in.
All right. Have a great day. Thank you.
You too. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to go with another thing about the Supreme Court. And this is something the Democrats could, and Leonard, I'm going to accept your request. I'll get to you in just a minute. This is another thing the Democrats could do and should do, and blow up the system. I read an editorial about this, and it made so much sense to me. They should expand the court, but not expand the court to 11 or 13 to make it even. No, expand the court to a minimum of 25 justices. Do you know why? Because then no one justice matters that much. Then when a Ruth Bader Ginsburg dies, we don't have to worry about losing the right to abortion or some crazy gun laws where everybody can concealed carry their gun to the grocery store or whatever other nonsense. See, it allows the conservatives and the liberals to nominate and put justices on the court. Sure, there could be a majority one way or the other, but over time, there would be so many justices put on under different administrations that we would have what was actually intended, a neutral court that could look at the Constitution and say, hey, this is constitutional, or hey, this has changed since the 1700s when it was written, and we need to interpret it a different way. Or hey, there's a new technology that exists that didn't exist when the Founding Fathers wrote the Constitution, so we need to come up with a way to deal with this new technology, et cetera, et cetera. All the things the court is supposed to do, as opposed to a justice sitting up there yelling, I like beer, or another justice. Yeah, I'm talking about you, Clarence Thomas, who goes to work and does what his wife says. Okay, Leonard. I will now invite you to video. It's up to you if you use it. Thank you.
Okay, first, I think this is the first time I've been videoed on Fireside. I'm just worried that you're giving people like Ted Cruz and Trump more credit than they deserve. I'm not so sure they're motivated by hate as they are motivated by they think this is going to somehow get them ahead. I mean, it was trending on Twitter a little while ago that Ted Cruz was looking at Twitter to see what people were saying about his questioning in the Supreme Court questioning session. I mean, I really think these people are just motivated by their own greed, and they know that they want to take advantage of racists. Not that they aren't racist. I'm not going to say they are not racist, but they're primarily they see this as to their advantage, for their greed, for their ego. They think this is a path for them with the racist crowd, and to me that
Absolutely.
it's worse. To me, it's worse than being a racist.
Leonard, absolutely. You're absolutely right. This is Ted Cruz's only concern is Ted Cruz. He doesn't care about the Constitution. He doesn't care about American people. That's what I'm saying. They pretend to be ignorant to manipulate the most ignorant segment of the population, right? There's no quicker way to get the, it's like the thing, you lost your job to a Mexican.
Right.
You didn't lose your job to a Mexican. Okay, go out and pick fruit. They even tried it. They took people, black and white people, I think it was in Georgia, and they took them out one day to pick fruits and vegetables. They didn't last half a day. They didn't. You know how hard that work is? That's the job they're stealing from you. Shut up. No, it's easy, low-level manipulation. Trump did it. Cruz does it. Marjorie Taylor Greene, all of them. Even though Marjorie Taylor Greene is not as shrewd or savvy as Ted Cruz,
That's an understatement.
But yeah, you're absolutely right. Are they racist? Yes, I truly believe.
Yeah.
Donald Trump, Ted Cruz, Marjorie Taylor Greene. And the funniest thing about racists, and I've said this for years, white supremacists are always the least supreme white people you could find. They're always the least supreme. Like I used to do a joke. You never see a George Clooney looking white supremacist where you're like, wow, that is actually supreme. That's no. It's always the lowest common denominator. It's a shame. The media needs to call them out for what they are. I think the media gives them far too much respect because the media is worried about, just like you said, what's trending on Twitter, what's click. And this is why I said, again, in my first comedy special, we don't have a Walter Cronkite. Walter Cronkite wouldn't put up with this shit. Edward R. Murrow, back when the media stood for something, they would have exposed these people and they would dismiss them. They would actually dismiss them as ridiculous, is what we should be doing. So, Leonard, thank you so much. And yeah, you nailed it.
Well,
it has nothing to do with the Constitution. Ted Cruz is in it for Ted Cruz.
One other quick thing, and I'll get off the stage. Daryl Davis. Are you familiar with? You're familiar with him, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I think he's talked 200 Klansmen out of their robes, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the other problem, is just so many people are misled, and they see somebody like Ted Cruz and they for some reason think he knows what he's talking about. I don't know. It's sad.
Right. And this is what I was talking about that guy Red in the Army. Everything they taught him, the minute he actually met black people, he was like, oh, that was all bullshit. These are people, instantly. And yeah, Daryl Dave talking people out of the Klan. And his thing, he said, one-on-one, he deals with them. You don't try to deal with them in a group or this or that, just one-on-one. And then, Leonard, I've said this for years. I've been lucky enough to travel the world. I have been all over the world. I've seen all different people and cultures, Middle East, Asia, Europe, and listen, people are way more alike than they are different. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't care where in the world you meet somebody, whether you meet them in Germany or Uzbekistan or China or Singapore. If you tell them teenagers are a pain in the ass, they will say, yep, they are. The culture doesn't matter. The culture, if I knew how to say my boss is an asshole in 7 languages, I'd be welcome in 7 countries. Right? People are people.
You're awesome.
People are people, Leonard. Thank you, my friend. Thanks for dropping in.
No problem. Bye-bye. How do I get out of here? You going to kick me off?
Nah, you can do it. There's a button there. Just play with the menus. We got a new app. We're figuring it out as we go. All right. Anybody else want to jump up on the soapbox? I do like the new look of the screen. I will say that. I don't know if it's just mine. Mine is like blacked out with some kind of, I don't know if this is outer space or what it is. It's kind of an orange design. I like it. I had something horrible and funny happen to me yesterday. A hummingbird flew into my house, crashed into the window, and died. And I was like, that has to be a bad omen, right? There's nothing good about a hummingbird dying in your house. I felt terrible. I still feel bad about it, but what are you going to do? Nature can be cruel sometimes. Hello, Charlotte. I will invite you to video. As always, it is up to you whether or not you use it.
No, that's okay. But hey, it's good to speak with you again, Alonzo. And thank you so much for covering this subject. I know my wife came to this country when she was 13 from the Philippines. And the first thing she got was a nickname that she thought was kind of cute. And so she, she had to write her family back about it. And the nickname was SPIC because she had a Hispanic last name.
Mm.
And then the same people who tried to give her that nickname were the same people that tried to drown her in a pool her first week at a brand new American high school. So, there's a lot from her life coming to this country and to see how we've evolved is sickening. And I'm so grateful that you have this platform where people can rant. And I believe that what the Republicans are attempting to do is to be so sickening and so repulsive that people will turn off the coverage because they don't want her to be exposed. They don't want us to see how amazing she is, how accomplished she is, how much she deserves this. And just by being so repulsive that they turn us off to this whole procedure so that we can't know about her. And I can tell you that my wife had the day off yesterday and today and tomorrow, and we just can't watch it, because it turns into a moment of just yelling at the TV and yelling at Lindsey Graham for being such a stupid fuck and all the rest of them too. They're just stupid fuckers. And I really hope that the Democrats and the independent folks pull their heads out of their ass and put these ads on TV and show people how stupid this is. Votes are being taken away from people throughout the country. Again, the people who are marginalized, and this shit still remains. But they were so busy fellatiating Donald Trump that now this is just the same old crap they were doing before. These are the same people who are on board with Putin. These are the same people who are on board with Putin. Tucker Carlson and all these minions. They're the same people. It's extraordinary. I remember when Nixon was the bad guy. Now people talk about, you remember Nixon started, what was that program for housing for poor people, started the programs to support ecology. And so now, here we are. But I want to see her get through this. And I tell you something, to see how she deals with obstacles, just like everybody else who comes up for a Supreme Court candidate to sit in the court is hopefully something that's not going to encourage people to stay away, but stay with it. But I just really appreciate the opportunity to rant about this as well. And thank you for covering this subject.
Thank you, Charlotte. And I don't know that they want people to not watch because we live in such a society of likes and clicks and this and that. But they're definitely trying to appeal to their, racist, again, the most ignorant base. I think the Lincoln Project, okay, and the Lincoln Project is that group of ex-Republicans or no, Republicans who are not Trumpers, who have a lot of money and come up with some of the best anti-Republican commercials. I think they're the ones who are going to take these sound clips of this idiocy out of Lindsey Graham and Ted Cruz and that woman from Tennessee, her name isn't even worth remembering and all, and use it against them in commercials. I think that Ms. Jackson will be confirmed to the Supreme Court because they don't really have any real challenge. They're just trying to create sound bites for their base. It's funny you mention Nixon, and it's almost like, yeah, all is forgiven when you die, and so on. And Nixon was the one who came up with our healthcare system, this privatized, super high insurance healthcare system, and he did it along with Kaiser, which is a health care company that made countless billions off of this system. So Nixon was as horrible as advertised. The other one,
he was. He
I'm
was
sorry.
absolutely. He was absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But
The
compared
other
to these
one,
bozos, yeah.
forgiven in death for all the terrible things he did, was Reagan.
Yes.
Reagan led us to the first savings and loan crash. It happened under Bush, but it started under Reagan, and Reagan was the one who deregulate. There's a reason that for hundreds of years they kept the stock market, the banks, and the insurance companies separate. They knew it. They said, because if we allow you guys to work together, you're going to destroy the system because you're all a bunch of corrupt, criminal, rich bastards. And Reagan was the one who said, let's take out all the rules. And what did they do? Crash the fucking system, right? It was like, yeah, exactly. These people are no good. They're no good. So if you let them loose, they're going to destroy shit. And it happens over and over again. And that was Reagan's legacy. But the other side of Reagan, okay, if you do think he was the great patriot and this and that, and he ended the Cold War, as you said, Republicans are now kissing Putin's ass. What would Reagan think of Republicans kissing the leader of Russia's ass? It's, Charlotte, I don't know. It's beyond anything you could imagine. And
I hear you.
No matter how low you aimed, you could not have predicted what's happened to the Republican Party.
Boy, true that. And not only that, but Reagan was the one who turned his back on the gay community and did nothing about HIV/AIDS. That set us back so far. I was working in Greenwich Village, New York, helping patients, volunteering, because there was no other help.
Right. It was the evil gay disease, and Jesus was killing gay people. That was
right.
That was what they sold. That was those early days of the moral majority. And Reagan also emptied all the mental health care facilities. And they used to be a thing. We used to call them bums because there weren't many of them. They'd be on the street, oh, it's a bum. And then we had to create a class called homeless because he created so many of them by turning loose people who need mental health care and said, nah, they don't. Why are we spending money on that when we could cut taxes on billionaires? Charlotte, I don't know.
I appreciate you, Alonzo.
Let's rate my faith on a scale of 1 to 10.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Alonzo. Thank you so much,
Charlotte. Thank you. Let's try to find a laugh in this madness.
Indeed.
Who else? Anybody else to jump on a soapbox? Is there anything else going on? Maybe I'm missing something. I don't even know. We still talking about the war in Ukraine, or has it been 2 weeks and they've decided they don't care about that anymore? Let's just, color our Twitter feed yellow and blue and then complain about gas prices. There's another thing. The gas prices, and you talk about Republican manipulation, it's Joe Biden's fault. Yeah, because every president has a magic button called gas prices. And the funny thing about that is, why would Joe Biden want higher gas prices? It almost guarantees he's not going to be reelected. It almost guarantees the Democrats losing in the midterms. And has anyone noticed gas prices have gone up all around the world and he's not president of the whole world? Again, the ignorance, and I blame the media. I blame the media for not stepping up and telling people the truth. You know why gas prices are high? Because oil companies love it. Do you know how much money they are making right now? It was pointed out by Jen Psaki, the press secretary. The United States oil companies have over 9,000 drilling permits that they haven't drilled a hole, not one hole. They're not looking for more oil. Why would they want more oil? No, what they're doing is training us to pay $5, $6, or $7 a gallon for gas so that they can make a ton more money. They can find more gas. There's more oil in the ground. Yeah, in time, we are going to have to transition away from oil. But right now, there's more oil to be found. They don't want it. Why would they want it? If you're the head of Shell, if you're the head of BP, if you're the head of whatever oil company, Exxon, Chevron, whoever, why would you want more gasoline right now when you've trained people to pay 5, 6, and in California, in some places, $7 a gallon? You think they give a shit about this? They love this war. They love this war. They can blame it, oil prices, on Russian oil that we weren't buying. Yeah, and people buy into it. It's Joe Biden. Absolutely. Yeah, it's Joe Biden, because he would definitely want higher gas prices. I was in Portugal. Last I checked, he ain't in charge of Portugal. Europe's been paying 7, 8 or more dollars a gallon for gas for the longest time. That's just the way it is. But what do you listen? I say it. It's the title of my current stand-up tour, which go to alonzobodden.com. You can find me. I'm headed to St. Paul, Minnesota this weekend. But the tour is called Stupid Don't Get Tired. Why? Because stupid don't get tired. How we doing out there? We're gonna wrap up the soapbox in just a few minutes. It was good to be back this week. Let's see. Am I on next week? I think unfortunately there won't be a show next week because next Thursday is a travel day. If I'm at my location, I have to go to Providence, Rhode Island. If I'm at my location, I will schedule a show. But right now, I'm going to say, unfortunately, there won't be a show next week because I won't be available next Thursday. But just keep checking in, and I appreciate you guys dropping in. And yeah, I would like to do it every week. I think it's more important to do it at the same time when I can do it than bounce it around every week to different days and different times. Also, another new development, another new place to rant. Starting next week, I'm going to be on TYT. If you're familiar with the Young Turks, it's a news network online. You go to YouTube, subscribe to the Young Turks. Super progressive, very progressive, more progressive than I am. I will tell you that. These are the progressives who love Bernie Sanders and think that Barack Obama was a conservative. Okay, but I do stuff on the Young Turks. I like being on TYT and talking to people. We're going to start a series of videos where 3 days a week, they're going to send questions, and I'm going to do 5-minute video responses to stories in the news. So if you're a subscriber to TYT, if you're familiar with TYT, you're going to start seeing a lot more of me over there. I'm trying to do comedy, and they keep offering me jobs in news. Why? Because we live in a comedy, because it is impossible. It is impossible for us to write jokes that can beat reality. Okay. We're trying, but you can't. You can't stay ahead of it. It's I want to get the name right. I am not good at remembering names. I'm going to give you an example. We'll wrap this up with an example of why jokes cannot surpass reality. So I have this bit that I do about being a large black man wearing a mask and how much fun that is. And I do this joke about being a black guy in the bank with a mask on, right? Ryan Coogler, the director of Black Panther, let me say this again. The director of the movie Black Panther was arrested in the bank for being a black man with a mask on trying to withdraw money. That's why I can't write jokes that supersede reality, because anything you think is a joke, like, nope, reality will do it. Ryan Coogler went to the bank. He gave them a note saying, I want to withdraw $12,000. It's a large amount of money. I want it to be done in private so people don't see me leaving the bank with this large amount of cash. Now, that sounds reasonable. It also would be reasonable, before you call the cops on a black man with a mask on, to maybe check his account and see how much money he has. I'm suspecting that Ryan Coogler can afford $12,000. I'm suspecting the director of the movie Black Panther made tens of millions just off that movie. Forget about the rest of his career. $12,000 ain't a lot of money to him, but he knows it's a lot of cash, so he wanted to keep it private. That doesn't seem unreasonable. And here's the worst part. It was in Atlanta. If you can't be rich and black in Atlanta, you can't be rich and black. It's the chocolate city. It's the chocolate city. That is why comedy has become so hard to do. So somebody said, why did he do that? That's why he did it, Chris. That's why he did it, because he didn't want everyone in the bank to know he was walking out with $12,000 cash, because, that can be dangerous. It can be dangerous to leave the bank with a large amount of cash, and you don't want to advertise it. What's he doing with $12,000 cash? I don't know, but it's America. You're free to have cash, right? Unless you get on a plane. If you got over 10 grand on a plane, you're supposed to report it. But that was it. Listen, I bought cars. I don't know if you've been. I bought cars where I had to go to the bank and get a large amount of cash because it was a private transaction with a private buyer, and it was the easiest way to do it. He just didn't want them to know he was carrying a lot of cash, so he wrote a note. But again, before you call the cops, just check the bank, check the balance. That's all you had to do was look at his balance and see, oh, he's got this large amount of money. And if there's a problem, call him over to the desks where the bank officers are and let them deal with it. You don't just call the cops because he's a black guy with a note. Okay? There was a reason for it. So yeah, Chris, that's why he did it. All right. Well, I'm going to keep trying. Whether it's comedy or news or somewhere in between, I don't know. I don't know what it is I do anymore. I'm just going to keep doing it. So thank you all for dropping by the Soapbox. It's been another great week. And Danny, I know you're in there. I didn't bring you up to producer level this time, but I know you got my back. So listen, I'm going to make him a producer at the very end of the show. I'm not worried about it, buddy. We did it. All right. The new changes in Soapbox, we made it work. And I got a green light that we are simulcasting. So everything's good. Juan, you didn't jump on the Soapbox this week, but I see you, my friend. Always glad to have you here. You guys have a great couple of weeks, and I'll see you soon.